What's one skill that actually drives like long-term career success?
Of course, it's communication skills. The first step in communication is to identify the right word for the idea that we have, and that we need vocabulary for that.
What's one thing they can do this week using the cash model, that's something small, something impactful that you think they can actually utilize to actually start achieving the aim they've set out to achieve for themselves?
It's a simple 1-minute formula.
Welcome to another episode of Let's Figure It Out, the podcast where we get curious, cut through all the obscurities, and get to what actually matters. And today, the topic we're going to be speaking about is a topic that I believe many of us feel that we understand, but until we're put in a position, a very trying position, a lot of us get to start realizing that it's not something we actually have a handle over, and that is communication. And joining us in the studio to talk about this topic is a man who has been a professional and a leadership trainer in the Gulf, in the continent of Africa, as well as in India, and is also a winner of the Make in India Employable Changemaker Award. And this person is in the person of Mr. Tamiz Sheikh. Thank you for joining us in the studio today, sir.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's actually all our pleasure. And I'd really like to get into this particular topic because I think this is something that we really need at this particular point in time, because I mean, everybody can speak and everybody can send an email, but not a lot of people know that there's a very big difference between normal communication and impactful communication. So getting to the root of these things, I mean, you've seen professionals in classrooms, in boardrooms, and in client meetings, right? But then what made you feel like you needed to bring the cash model into the conversation, especially when it concerns communication?
It struck me one day. People from premier institutes, they get degrees on the paper, but they fail in the boardroom. And what can be the reason? And that is where the cash model was evolved. It's not only the knowledge, the attitude, skills, and habits. That is the real currency for success.
Now, sir, as you rightly said, there's a lot of people that are now kind of like chasing their degrees and their certifications these days. But then in your experience, what's one skill that actually drives like long-term career success?
Of course, it's communication skills. Let's try to understand communication with its process, step by step. The first step in communication is you have an idea or a thought, and you try to find the right word for this idea and thought. That is what you need, the right word, the vocabulary. The first step in communication is to identify the right word for the idea that we have, and that we need vocabulary for that. In the second step, once I have the word, I try to frame a sentence. And this, for framing a sentence, I need knowledge of grammar.
Yeah.
Now I have the sentence with myself. I want to transfer this sentence from self to others.
Yeah.
And I can do this either by speaking or writing.
Yes.
And the fourth step in communication, it's not only, speaking and writing. I need to understand what others say or write. And for that, I need listening as well as reading. So the sixth step process of communication is, if I want to be an expert in communication skills, I need knowledge of grammar, vocabulary, reading, writing, speaking, and listening skills.
Okay. All right. So, but then let's kind of like focus a bit more on vocabulary and pronunciations, which are usually treated as minor issues, but then they change how we are perceived by the other person, right? So why exactly are these two things actually so crucial to communication, and how does someone practically work on them without feeling overwhelmed?
Think of vocabulary as your outfit.
No, I've never seen that way, but
yeah. And if you have great ideas, but you present it with your pajamas, nobody is going to notice it. So vocabulary is something which is like, if you have a great outfit, you get noticed. So that's the reason vocabulary is crucial in communication.
okay, that's one way to look at it. But then we've also talked about skills, right? But then let's also get into the issue of behavior, right? So what are the daily or weekly habits that truly move the needle when it comes to like personal growth and professional impact?
Daily practice this 10 minutes. 10 minutes of learning, 10 minutes of practice, and 10 minutes of gratitude. And with this, over a period of time, you become successful. So just practice this 10 minutes formula.
But then I would like us to address some of the skeptics, especially when it comes to communication, because some will say that you can teach knowledge and skills, but then there's the issue of attitude and habit, right? And that's personality or upbringing, usually. But in this particular regard, what is your take, and can these really be changed? And if they can be changed, how?
Yes, definitely it can be changed. Personality is not a tattoo. It's a whiteboard. Every day, I learn small things. I implement small habits. And over a period of time, I can rewrite my story.
Okay. But then some people would say that a lot of the habits or some of these things have kind of like attached themselves to our personality. But you've just said it's a whiteboard. How is that? Because a lot of us feel very stuck in our ways, right? So what's your take on that?
We need to identify and learn new things, create new habits. And once we do it, like small habits will make a big difference.
Okay. So essentially just start small and build upon it until there's a kind of like impact on your own personality, and then you can kind of like envelope that into yourself. I think that's a way forward. But then on a conclusion note, if someone is listening today and they're thinking, I want to be a better communicator, but I don't know where to begin, right? What's one thing they can do this week using the CASH model, that's something small or something impactful that you think they can actually utilize to actually start achieving the aim they've set out to achieve for themselves?
It's a simple 1 minute formula. 1 minute of learning, 1 minute of practice. So whatever you do it, just 1 minute of gratitude. And once you do this, you get an edge over 90% of the people.
Well, thank you very much, sir, for joining us today. And we hope to see you again for another episode to kind of like help us a bit more with communication, because I think in a lot of us, myself included, there is some lack in my communication abilities, and I really would like to improve that. So I'm looking forward to your training. So thank you for joining us today, sir. With those of you interested or having the ambition to be a leader in future, the next episode is something you're really going to want to pay attention to, because we're going to get into the intricate details about how to be a leader and what is going to make you a successful one. Stay tuned.